In the words of Albert Einstein, life is like a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. Faith lies in taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase. With a sense of belief, we would like to begin with the next session. As we continue, I would now like to invite Ms. Archana Jerath, Business Leader, SHRM India. Archana Jarath has been with SHRM for 6 years and is Business Leader Operations for SHRM India and APAC. She is responsible for conferences and events, SHRM certification and membership growth in India and APAC, B2C sales and driving various initiatives in the region. She has 23 years of experience, of which she has spent the last 13 years in the HR industry. In the past, Archana has worked with TV18, BCC World, CNN, Star, etc. GE Capital International Services, Kelly Services, IKEA Human Capital Solutions, and various roles prior to joining SHRM. Archana is result oriented and has successfully led large teams across various verticals and has an expertise in business and project management. She is Six Sigma Green Belt certified from GE and has led quality projects in Lean Six Sigma, ISO implementation, and internal systems and procedures from the ground up. Ma'am, thank you for taking out your precious time and joining us for this webinar. As you are the moderator for our panel discussion, I would like you to please explain the format of the panel discussion to our panelists and also the do's and don'ts which you would like to convey. Also, I would like to convey that our audience would maybe like to ask questions in the end. So if you could keep 5 to 10 minutes in the end for their question answers, that would be great.
Thank you so much, Bhavya, for that lovely introduction, and a very warm welcome to all the panelists who are part of this session. The format is actually quite loose. It's a free-flowing conversation, uh, where I would like to have maximum contribution from all our panelists to share very candidly their thoughts, their views, and really, some hard-hitting points on what we really need to be doing to make our society, our education system, organizations work closely with bodies and governments to make a truly inclusive and equal opportunity society. So that's really the rule. We will definitely keep time for question and answers. So I'll just do a quick introduction. A small video message I'd really like to play. It's a very powerful message from the global CEO of SHRM, who had done this talk at our conference last year, and it will really be a very good context setting as well. And then we'll get into the discussion. I'll just we'll begin here. And anyone have any questions, ask them or put them on the chat box, and I'll make sure that all our panelists have an opportunity to answer those questions. So to begin with, today we're going to be talking about fostering inclusiveness as a cultural mindset. There is an ILO research that suggests that out of 21.9 million people with disabilities in India, there are almost 73% who are not in paid employment, and that's about 16 million people. Of course, that is a huge setback for people as well as a direct impact on the GDP of the country. NASSCOM data suggests that in the IT and ITS sector, less than 1% people are represented from the differently abled community. The total cost of social exclusion in India from a monetary standpoint is estimated at USD 800 billion. So, of course, there is definite need for us to look at ways to make our society truly inclusive. At SHRM, being a global voice of all things work, we take the subject of inclusion extremely seriously. And we've been working with governments and corporates globally to create equal opportunity for each and every person to work with dignity and with all the equal opportunities that every person deserves. Last year at the SHRM India Annual Conference in 2019 November, we focused on various aspects of inclusion. And there's a very powerful message from our global president and CEO, Johnny C. Taylor, from that event that I would like to share at this point. Can we have the video up, please?
Hello, I'm Johnny Santillo, Junior President and CEO. I want to send my greetings to everyone gathered in Cali today for the biggest and best Shark and in turn exclusion idea exchange all comes truly multi-generational workforce. Our workforce is able to act. We need to let people
That was really a powerful message, Archana. It was a very
Thank you. I want to share it with all of you. And like, what very key was that Johnny said that we should hire people for what they can do. And different is powerful, different is what we all have in common. And there are no two people alike in this world. So it is a given that we need to make serious strides towards being a truly equal and inclusive society that gives opportunity to each and every person for what they can bring to the table. That means we need to relook at the fundamentals from ground up from equal opportunity in education to the right opportunities and equal opportunity in organizations and at work with government working with organizations and education systems. The differently able do not need our sympathy, they need empathy. We don't need SOPs. Each individual deserves and has every right to a level playing field of equal opportunity. So, is it time for us to make a mindset change? The esteemed panel I have with me today will be discussing this particular topic and the need for fostering inclusiveness as a cultural mindset. So, I have with me today Ankita Gulati, founder and CEO of Touch Vision. She, at a very young age, is a has a Delhi IIT Delhi incubated Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion recognized social enterprise which is aiming at social inclusion for touching 1 billion people with disabilities globally. I must say, a huge, tall order. And their flagship product is Touch Vision Multi-Sensory Kit that enables affordable interactive access to diagrams for visually impaired in an audio tactile form. We also have with us today Mr. Avellino Desa, who is the president of the Disability Association of Goa. Mr. Avellino Desa is the founder and president of the Disabilities Rights Association of Goa, and he's been working for the last 16 years to bring people with disabilities into mainstream society. Himself born with cerebral palsy, Avellino is a disabilities rights activist and has been awarded several times. We also have with us Sandeep Bidani, who is a senior HR leader who himself is a change catalyst and consultant and is known as India's first specially abled senior HR leader. He is a former management consultant and change management leader for KPMG India and for India and Middle East. And for the last 8 years, he's leading large transformational projects and talent strategy. He's a member of the European Mentoring and Coaching Council, Human Potential Assessment Expert. He's a member of many industry bodies like CII, AmCham, and NASSCOM, and he's a coach to many CEOs. In the last 4 years, he's had the pleasure of he can tell us whether it's a pleasure or not, but he has coached over 35 leaders and is an executive coach for INSEAD ILPSC program in India. We also have with us Mr. Jayant Singh Raghav. He is a student at Delhi University. Jayant is currently pursuing English honors from Ramlal College. He has done his basic computer science advanced Excel training from National Association for the Blind and as well as Outlook training from Enable India. He's completed his English course from Desai Foundation for Change and is currently doing an HR training from Gake Solutions. We also have with us Mr. Hanuman Talwar, who's a senior executive, a former CEO. He's Marshall Goldsmith SSC Executive of Human Potential and has over 32 years of experience in best-in-class global multinationals. He's worked with organizations such as American Express, GE, EXL Service, HCL, Zenta, Herco, and Convergys. He's been a global leader across multiple regions, including India, EMEA, APAC, and China. He's also served as the managing director and country head for Convergys in India, UK, and China. We also have Mr. Santosh Gupta, who's the CEO of ISRN, which is the Indian Social Responsibility Network. He's also one of its founding members. He has an enriching experience of over 20 years in social development issues, working with government, multilateral organizations, and NGOs. He's worked in the Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India, National Disaster Management Authority, Delhi Disaster Management Authority, Government of NCT of Delhi, UP Land Development Corporation, among many other bodies. He has also handled major national and international projects and programs. In the last 5 years, he has built expertise on corporate social responsibility, and he's leading a prominent voluntary organization network in India. So I would like to welcome our esteemed panelists and experts in this field who are joining me here today to discuss this topic in more detail. Thank you so much.
All of you. Welcome all of you on board, please. Very warm welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sally ji.
Thanks for having us, Shalji.
Thank you, Santoshji, and thank you, Mr. Bidani. Thank you, Mr. Hanuman. Avanilo, will you please switch on your video, please? We would like to take photographs. So please switch on video. Yeah. Thank you all of you for being here. So Archana, please carry on from here.
So I know that Ankita has to leave a little early, so I will begin my first question with you, Ankita. You know, you've been at a very young age. You shared your age with me, which I will not share ahead, but she's really, really young and she's achieved so much and has such a big vision. So really commend you on that. Can you tell us a little bit, Ankita, about Touch Vision Kit? What inspired you to get into this space and what it's doing really for people who are visually impaired?
Just, Ankita, please unmute yourself.
Sorry. Yeah. It's fine now?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Archana, for your question. So basically, as a part of the general society, we don't realize that people with disabilities, especially with visual disabilities, the children are not allowed to pursue science, maths, and geography subjects beyond 7th standard. So this journey started like back in 2015 as a part of my master's thesis. So I was pursuing master's in computer science, and at that time I wanted to work on something which can have a tangible impact. So I started visiting a lot of blind schools, and I came across a class where they were trying to teach about Indian states using a handmade map made up of pulses with the narration to 20 kids. So nothing was recognizable for them, and they were not able to understand a single thing using that. Then we understood that what is the state of the art globally, which is available, and we found with graphic no technology here in India of our own. You something tactile narration, so it friendly graphics along with user control audio, so that the user can.
So what's the impact when Ankita, and it's really, a terrible situation where people are not allowed to really pursue certain subjects because we are not equipped really as a society to be able to give them that opportunity. It's not their lack, it's really our lack.
It's that we are not providing them. So we are limiting freedom. That was the whole thing. This and so as of now we have over 5,000 books for NCERT over the last 4 years. And in the last 2 years, we have been running this in a and we operate in 3 continents right now, Southeast Asia. As of now, we are trying to reach out more to the underdeveloped countries. Well.
Sorry, Ankita, your voice is breaking a little bit. It's a little difficult to follow what you're saying. But, I think that it's an amazing job.
Ankita, if you could go off your video, and that will
That's
save
my
bandwidth.
yeah. Before we move on to the next part of the question, which is to Avelino, Sandeep, when you and I were talking, you were also talking about this particular aspect about how our education system doesn't really allow people, just because we don't have that infrastructure to pursue subjects in maths and science particularly. So you had a very strong opinion on that, and I'd really like to hear from you on that.
So, Rachana, if I start looking at the entire, and I'm using the word loosely, supply chain of talent, having led HR for IBM and all companies like that, which are technologically very savvy in terms of adopting all kinds of talent. I think the challenge starts with what is easy, and most of the education system is built around what is easy. Most programs are built around, you have a locomotor challenge, it can be handled in a school. Your classroom can be on a ground floor and, stuff like that. But going beyond that, courses in science, maths, various other areas where special educators haven't been built, or translating or explaining the concept becomes difficult, the effort has not been made. And that is the reason, as you start talking, and I do a lot of work, I support Enable India at times and reach out to Delhi University as well, where there is typically a group of about 50 visually challenged students. What happens is that a lot of access that they have to is to narrative or rote-based learning, and hence these subjects that they can choose versus moving to logic-based learning, that tends to become narrower. And that effort has to be made at a school level, at the education level, when special educators are being created. And technology is a big game changer in all of that, as we start looking at it. Because, and that's been our limitation. That also starts impacting the supply of talent. Even if organizations want to be inclusive, the kind of roles that we are able to bring specially able people into becomes very limited. And then there is a further segment that starts coming in to say, what kind of disability will be able to work in so and so role. So it just gets, the funnel gets narrower and narrower, but the root cause or the start point is what we've not invested in the education system.
I would love to see where every school, you have listings of schools which talk about the best schools, and I don't think I have seen any school or any rating or ranking which also includes their ability to actually be fully inclusive and give equal opportunity to people who are differently and specially able. So I think that would be one change that I would love to see in the school system. We have one such young talent with us today, that is Jayant. So Jayant, you yourself are visually impaired, and you are, you've done your specialization in English, and now you are pursuing a career in HR. While I'm sure Sandeep and I are particularly pleased to hear that, but want to understand from you, was that what was your strength and what you really wanted to do, or is that something that you had to really opt for given the options that were in front of you?
Yeah, first of all, good afternoon to everyone present here. So, so the challenge that I had of my visual impairedness was a big challenge to me because I am late blind, not blind from birth. So, from switching from print to listening the books, listening to the audio books or studying through them with help of my screen readers. So that was a great challenge. So for doing that, I did some of the trainings, which was essential for me. But now, today, I'm well equipped and well trained for doing that. And this was my, and this is my dream to go in the one of the best premium colleges of the university, as we say, FMS, Faculty of Management Services, to do the MBA in HR. So if I would be able to do, it will be a dream coming true for me. I'm looking forward and I'm doing my best to do so.
That's wonderful to hear. So, Avelino, coming to you, you've really made it your life's work, and you've been fighting for the rights of the differently abled in terms of, ability of, to lead an equal life to any other individual, whether it is access even to the voting booths, or, free ability to move freely and independently. So, what are some of the things that you really would want, if there were three things you would want to change? What were those three big changes you would look at?
Main thing I would say is the need for accessibility, because only when we have accessibility, education or employment or even entertainment for persons with disabilities. What is important today is education system. Although 25 years of the old Disability Act has passed, but the schools and colleges are not yet accessible for persons with disabilities. So that also we need to focus on making it accessible at the earliest, because the is mandate. To, I mean, get the accessibility done, make accessible, make places accessible. I don't think we can talk about inclusion of, but 25 years have passed of the old Disability Act. And although the government of India had also come out some 5 years back with the Sugamya Bharat campaign, which is the Accessible India campaign, places are not yet accessible. So one major thing we need to focus on making for the inclusion of persons with disability. Another thing I would say is giving an opportunity to persons with disability. Many employers or many schools, colleges are not willing to give an opportunity to persons with disability to prove themselves. However talented, however educated persons may be, however many laws may be enforced in favor of persons with disability, persons with disability are not being given an opportunity by the authorities, be it government authorities or private employers. So this attitude or mindset of capabilities of persons with disability should also change.
I'd like to take that question up with you, Hanumant. You've been a corporate leader, you've been a CEO of a very large organization and held many senior roles. And Avelino bringing up a very disturbing point, saying that organizations are not really willing to give that kind of opportunity. Do you see that changing, or do you still believe that largely that is true, and why? What can we do differently?
So both things. One, yes, there has been a constraint, and organizations earlier were not accepting it. we've seen quite a lot of movement of the needle there. Before that, I want to just step back and just talk about what disability is for me. Means I've realized it very closely now. That even wearing these specs is a disability with me. And I think we forget that at times, to acknowledge what disability is and just to simply appreciate, some of the things that people are differently able, literally. And, some use different skills for some particular things than the others. And I think once that acceptance comes in, accessibility and others will all form a part of that sensitivity that we have around us. In my corporate roles, I've clearly seen we've encouraged hiring people with disabilities. As I am a coach now or a trainer, we just this morning completed our session with 4 organizations that we are supporting on people with disabilities. They have employees, and what we are helping them is coaching them to go to the next level. So while these organizations have been really upfront in hiring these talent, are they even investing in? Are they operationalizing this inclusivity? Are they really taking it to the next level? So I think one is the issue of getting it at entry level. Quite a lot of organizations are focused on it now. But is the talent really available? Now that brings us to the point that Sandeep was talking about, and I think Ankita alluded to as well. Are our schools or education institutions, are they really equipping them to come into this world and fight in the talent market? And you as HR professionals know, today talent market is something where it is literally the Darwin's theory, survival of the fittest. And people are coming with lots of skills, lots of education, and then most of our people with disabilities, unless they take that effort and unless they move it to the next level, there have been challenges at school levels, there have been challenges at institutions. Most of the ones we've seen successful have themselves made the effort. I have a coachee who's a computer science graduate, one who's from IIM Ahmedabad. They, so there are stories, and we are now trying to showcase some of these stories, go back to institutions, partner with them. And while we are at the IP University Forum, I think it is a great opportunity for us to create that level of, or that platform to educate these individuals and prepare them for larger jobs and roles. And that is where corporates should also come forward and partner with them. We are happy to support these initiatives and are doing that. There has to be a curriculum design around different kinds of disabilities. There has to be a curriculum around different enablements for jobs or the skills they need for those jobs. And I think there is a lot of work that needs to be done. We can't depend totally on the government. The corporates and the education institutions have to work towards it to make it happen.
I've taken note of this, Mr. Hanuman Talwar.
Yes, a lot to talk about. Would like to really have Mr. Santosh Gupta weigh in at this point, because he's really been one of the people instrumental in bringing up the CSR and the organization that he works with brought in the whole CSR Act into the Companies Act. Do you see enough representation and opportunity for the differently abled in corporate? Do you echo some of what Hanuman says, or are you, do you see it very differently because you work with so many organizations that really lies between what at a country level and at an organization level, what are the gaps?
Yeah, thank you, Archana. First of all, good afternoon to all panelists, and my special heartiest thanks to Salini ji for her yesterday book launch. So once again, Salini ji, congratulations. So
Thank you so much.
yeah. So Archana, as you asked, like as a network organization, what I thinking are what our organization thought around this. So especially, I'm coming to your point. Before that, I would like to just mention this 2-3 points, like as per the panel discussions topic, like fostering inclusiveness as a cultural mindset. So in India, like as we all know, as a land of rich diversity and the culture with different language, traditions, values, which play a major part in the farming mindset and perception, and also determines the behavior and practices. So according to like your point, like we are discussing in the education sector. So you see in our past, like different culture beliefs give rise a different attitude and practices towards the various issues such as disabilities. So which in turn have an impact on the people with disabilities. That the total perception regarding the disabilities has always been looked upon. So through a person physically disabled can be mentally strong and talented in other areas, but still face challenges in inclusion in a society due to perception of the disabilities. So as we are working as a voluntary sector, and we try to train our partners, our voluntary organizations, and also we are doing lots of things in the accessibility and the change the thought of the community, so that we are giving the same platform to the Divyangjan. So it's my perception.
At this point, do we have any questions for anybody? Otherwise, we can move, to some more questions that I can ask the panelists.
Students, please come forward, and even the live audience, if you have any questions, please write in the chat box, or you can just switch on your mic and ask yourself. I would first request the live audience to please ask questions.
Yes, ma'am, I have a question.
Yeah, please go ahead. And please also mention with whom you are, to whom your question is directed. Please be clear.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, ma'am. So I just want to ask, how do we people can contribute to the education of disabled people? Is there any online platform where these people are there, so that we people could connect with them and offer free of cost education, considering it a social concern? Or
any of our panelists would like to take up that question in terms of what are
yes,
as a larger community, we can all work together and contribute by contributing towards like skill development, education. I think that's the question that you have, Ankita.
yes, ma'am.
अर्चना, ये क्वेश्चन जिन्होंने पूछा है उनका नाम क्या है?
अंकिता.
So अंकिता, बहुत अच्छा आपका क्वेश्चन है. Like as you said, as a student, what you can contribute to this section. So especially like first मैं ये अप्रिशिएट करूंगा कि आपने इस पॉइंट को रेज किया, क्योंकि आज के टाइम पे ये सोचना ही अपने आप में एक बड़ी बात है एज ए स्टूडेंट, कि आप अपने काम और अपने जो रूटीन है उसके अलावा भी आप कुछ देख रहे हो. तो मैं सबसे पहले ये कहूंगा कि आप एज पर योर स्किल, एज पर योर स्ट्रेंथ, आप जो कर सकते हो वो तो आप डिजाइन कर सकते हो, बट सबसे पहले जो आपके आसपास है और जिसको आप देख रहे हो, जो दिव्यांग है, जिसको जो पावरफुल है, बट सिर्फ उसकी फिजिकल स्ट्रेंथ, जो एक परसेप्शन जो बना है, जो हम सब इस फैक्ट्स के थ्रू देखते हैं कि अगर इनमें कोई कमी है, फिजिकल कमी है, तो हम उसको मानते हैं कि ये हमसे कमजोर है. तो सबसे पहले मैं ये कहूंगा कि आप अपने देखने का नजरिया चेंज करो, और आप और अपने आसपास जो आपके दोस्त हैं उन सबको कहो कि ये जितने आप स्ट्रांग हो, आपसे ज्यादा वो स्ट्रांग है. और अगर हमने ये चेंज किया तो फिर आप उनके लिए हर चीज वो सोच पाओगे. जैसे आज के टाइम पे अगर सोल्यूशन बेस्ड बात करूं तो टेक्नोलॉजी एक बहुत बड़ा रोल प्ले कर सकती है, जो आने वाले आज के टाइम पे जितने जो दिव्यांगजन हैं उनके पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से आप देखते हो, तो ब्रिंगिंग अवेयरनेस एंड द शैटरिंग द स्टिग्मा दैट सराउंडिंग डिसेबिलिटीज, ये जो पॉइंट है ना, इस पे कुछ काम करके आप कुछ नए चीजें डेवलप कर सकते हो, को हेल्प कर सकते हो. और एक और है कि हर मतलब जब भी हम कोई इनोवेशंस करते हैं या एक्सपेरिमेंट या नई चीज कोई आती है, तो वो ऐसा नहीं है कि सबके ऊपर एप्लीकेबल होगी। हर एक की नीड अलग है, हर एक की जो काम करने की प्रैक्टिस है वो अलग है, तो उसके अकॉर्डिंग कस्टमाइज करना भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। तो इसलिए मैं ये भी कहूंगा कि जो भी जिनकी भी आप मदद करना चाहते हो या जो आपके आसपास लोग हैं, उनका कस्टमाइजेशन भी आपको एसेस करना चाहिए। उसका एक प्रॉपर नीड असेसमेंट करने के साथ आपको उनको सोल्यूशन प्रोवाइड करने की बात करनी चाहिए। इन जनरल सॉल्यूशंस पे नहीं जाना चाहिए, ऐसा मेरा ये व्यक्तिगत मानना है।
Trying to
Thank you,
say
sir.
something.
So, Santosh, you brought up a very good point of, stigma, attitude. You mentioned that earlier also, the way we view people. So and this is question for any one of you to answer. There is a deeper problem in our society, and I think maybe not just India, but probably other societies as well, also, but I can speak for our own society, where this whole thing of stigma, mindset, indifference, also related to, I guess, the lack of opportunity as it, being a highly populous society, everybody is trying to, get by and limited resources. So how do we change that particular mindset? And do you think it's going to happen? It's obviously not going to happen overnight, but do you see it happening in the near future?
Just pick that conversation up, Archana. Brilliant context, and thanks for bringing this up. I think there are two, three points that come to mind. One, a lot of the generations, at least till maybe our generation, or maybe just till the next generation, have grown up with this whole concept of bichara. You see bichara, and that's what we hear, bichara. So, and I am a person who has been constantly talking to organizations, even my own organizations. I've worked for Amex, IBM, various companies. But if you look at it, is inclusion a CSR agenda? That is the first biggest debate that I have created. Sorry, inclusion is not a CSR agenda. It should not be, because if it can be a diversity agenda, it is never a CSR agenda. It's an inclusion issue. It is not a CSR issue. Because the moment you think CSR, you are thinking sympathy, you are not thinking empathy. And the problem with this agenda is that at one end we talk CSR, at the other end we talk empathy. Sorry, it does not match. So for students who are asking this question, the first awareness that you have to build across is, sorry, you're not doing CSR. Sorry, you are not doing sympathy work, or I am helping somebody. I am changing my perspective to understand inclusion. Unless you start with that, this is not going to change. It's a very long journey. So that's the first message that I want to bring out. And in fact, some of the work that we've done in the past with a lot of organizations, multinationals or others, where they have hired people, but they don't know how to develop them. We've gone and said, what budget are you paying this program for? Are you using your CSR funds, or is this part of your inclusive development plan? Very clear question. If it is CSR, we don't do that work. We just don't touch it. And that's a very hard message to companies to step back and think. कि ये CSR नहीं है, ये inclusion है. Just like women inclusion is a large agenda, this is another inclusion agenda. It's just that. The other second issue is everything will be done by the environment around a person with disability. Do you own? It's like this. I have polio in my right leg. When I wear calipers, when I walk, I use my hand to support my leg a little bit. If you or Hanumant were walking with me and you try to help me by holding my right arm, you think you're doing the right thing, I may fall. Right? So, am I going to tell you what I need and what works for me? That is my job. That is not the world's job to know. What works for me? How can I work better? And there's a very interesting story of some people who are deaf mutes that we work with. These are in companies, and one of them actually said, I go into meetings, I'm called into meetings, but my team leader and my other team members don't know sign language, so I don't understand what was discussed, but I'm part of the meeting. Simple input to him was, have you asked your team leader to write down and present the topic of the discussion on a slide? Because you can read. Have you tried writing down your inputs and giving it to your team leader? Looking at that. And these are small changes that companies can start making, we can start making in our work environment. But it is two-way street. It is not charity that somebody will come and figure out what you need. You have to raise a hand and say, hey, can you please write down what you guys are discussing so that I understand? I am a deaf mute. And you can do that. So it is two-way street in terms of, one is moving away from the bichara concept. The second is this whole debate between, is this CSR and you can't build empathy with CSR. You can only get sympathy. And the third conversation is, what am I doing as a person with disability to make others around me more aware of how to work better with me? So those are three things that I wanted to quickly share.
Santosh, you would like to weigh in on that? Because,
संदीप जी के पॉइंट से मैं बोलूंगा, ये CSR में आपका सर जो सोल है, आप जो कहना चाहते हैं वो एकदम ही सही है, बट वर्ड CSR तो हम रिमूव नहीं कर सकते क्योंकि वो तो एक एक्ट है, और कॉर्पोरेट सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इज नॉट अ सिंपैथी, इज नॉट अ मर्सी, इज जस्ट अ एक्ट. तो मैं एक बात सिर्फ ये कहूंगा अर्चना की, एक एग्जांपल के थ्रू एक अपनी बात कहूंगा. अगर मार्च में जब कोविड-19 आया और ये लॉकडाउन स्टार्ट हुआ और हर कोई पूरा 130 करोड़ देश और वर्ल्ड में भी बहुत सारी कंट्री, सभी लोग लॉकडाउन हो गए और अपने अपने घर में हैं. बट आपने देखा 2-4 दिन तो मतलब जब अपने रूटीन से निकले और ये रेस्ट वाला टाइम खत्म हुआ और फिर लगा कि अभी कुछ करना है काम, तो हर कोई अपने को कभी ना कभी इस पूरे 52 डेज में कहीं ना कहीं वो अपने आप को डिसेबल फील जरूर किया होगा किसी ना किसी काम के लिए, चाहे बाहर निकलने को लेके हो, चाहे काम को, और एक अंदर जो कहते हैं ना एक अर्ज होगी, एक तड़प होगी, कैसे करें हम अपने काम को. तो मैं ये एग्जांपल इसलिए दे रहा हूं, ये बात आप सबको मालूम है, लेकिन हमने क्या हमारे 52 डेज में हमने कोई भी ऐसा काम है, कुछ काम हो सकता है जो बाहर निकलने से रिलेटेड है वो ना हुआ हो, बट हमने 99% अपने काम को कंटिन्यू रखा है घर पे. जैसे ये वेबिनार ले लो आप, अगर ये अभी नहीं होता तो शायद शालिनी जी कहीं किसी अच्छे ऑडिटोरियम में ये सेमिनार कर रही होती. तो और उसमें ये जो इतने कम रिसोर्सेज में इतने अच्छे टॉपिक को इस समय पे आपने रेस किया है, उस समय शायद आप उठाते तो उतना लोग ध्यान से नहीं सुनते जितना अभी सुन रहे हैं.
Very aptly said, very aptly said.
और उसमें बहुत सारा खर्च होता और बहुत सारे रिसोर्सेज, बहुत सारी एनर्जी, सब कुछ होता, बट उसके बाद भी ये चीजें, ये मजा नहीं आता जो आज लोग फील कर रहे हैं. मतलब रियली, जैसे मैं रोज कहीं ना कहीं वेबिनार पे जा रहा हूँ, बात कर रहा हूँ, तो मुझे जो फीलिंग, जो एंजॉयमेंट इस पे हो रहा है वो शायद फेस टू फेस में नहीं होता था. अब मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है. तो ये जो मैं अपने वापस पॉइंट पे आ रहा हूँ कि हमने ये सारी चीजों को क्यों कर पाए हम, क्योंकि हमने पहले से टेक्नोलॉजी, रिसोर्सेज, जो भी चीजें थी हमने पहले से रखा हुआ है, करके हमने वो सारी चीज हमारे आसपास थी, अरेंज थी. तो हमारे पास इंटरनेट था, ये सारे टूल्स थे, और काम करने के लिए जो भी चीज चाहिए वो हम कर ले रहे हैं. तो सिमिलरली मैं इस पॉइंट से ये पॉइंट कनेक्ट करना चाहता हूं कि अगर CSR के थ्रू हो या किसी भी फंड के थ्रू हो या गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसीज के थ्रू हो या लोगों के एफर्ट्स के थ्रू हो, हमें वो सारे टूल्स को अरेंज करना है, बनाना है जो इस पर्टिकुलर कम्युनिटी के लिए चाहिए. क्योंकि अगर टूल्स होंगे, रिसोर्सेज होंगे, तो हमें किसी को सपोर्ट करने की जरूरत नहीं है. जैसे आज हमने अपने टूल्स अपने तरीके ढूंढ लिए, वैसे वो भी अपने को अपनी जो नीड है उसके अकॉर्डिंग वो रिसोर्स ले आएंगे और उसके थ्रू काम कर लेंगे. आज प्रॉब्लम क्या है, रिसोर्स ही नहीं है. मतलब बड़ा सरप्राइज होता है, हम सब इतने इंटेलेक्चुअल्स, पढ़े लिखे कम्युनिटी में रहते हैं और आज भी हम क्या बात करते हैं, एक्सेसिबिलिटी को लेके रैम्प की बात करते हैं.
बिल्कुल सही बात है.
मतलब कहाँ हैं हम, मतलब किस तरह की सोच है, हम कहाँ, दुनिया कहाँ पहुंच रही है, चांद पे, मंगल पे जाने की बात कर रहे हैं, और हम जब इस कम्युनिटी की बात करते हैं तो आज भी हम रैम बनाने की बात करते हैं. मतलब आप अपने लिए तो सब कुछ कर ले रहे हो, और उसके लिए एक रैम्प बनाने के लिए भी आपको एक्ट लाना पड़ रहा है, डिस्कशन करना पड़ रहा है, लोगों को कन्विंस करना पड़ रहा है। तो हम अभी रैम्प से ऊपर ही नहीं जा पाए तो बाकी चीजें हम कहाँ सोचेंगे। तो पॉइंट ये है कि अब हमें इसके लिए जितना मेरा रिक्वेस्ट है, और हम अपनी मेंबर ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस को भी ये कहते हैं कि डिस्कशंस और जो ये इसका डिस्कोर्स क्रिएट करना था ना, वो बहुत हो चुका है। अब हमें जरूरत है इसके रिसोर्सेस को जमीन पर लाने की। बहुत सारे काम ऐसे हैं जिनको करने की, और मैं शालिनी जी जैसे एकेडमिशियंस को ये कहूंगा कि प्लीज आप अपने और भी जो इंस्टीट्यूट हैं, कॉलेजेस हैं, यूनिवर्सिटीज हैं, जहां से अच्छे प्रोडक्ट्स निकलते हैं, आप बहुत सारे ऐसे लोगों को हर साल निकालते हैं जो आगे जाके बहुत बड़ी बड़ी जगहों पे काम करते हैं। हमें वो समझाने की उनको जरूरत है कि ये इशू नहीं है, ये एक हम जैसी जो हमें चाहिए वैसी ही ये चीज है। इसलिए आप सब वो सारे रिसोर्सेज को जो मैप हो चुके हैं, जो नीड है, उसको बनाओ। और बहुत सारी इंडस्ट्रीज में मैं तो ये भी कहूंगा, जितने भी ये मैनेजमेंट कोर्सेज हैं उनके अंदर सिलेबस में ये आना चाहिए। जैसे हम सिलेबस डिजाइन करते समय सारे टॉपिक एंड सब्जेक्ट्स को स्ट्रीमलाइन करते हैं, वैसे ही इन टॉपिक्स को भी स्ट्रीमलाइन करने की जरूरत है, और उसमें इनकलकेट करने की जरूरत है कि कौन कौन सी चीजें हैं जो हमें ये लाइन अप करनी है। और जैसे एनुअल हमारा प्लान बनता है तो उसमें एनुअल प्लान में ये भी इंक्लूड होना चाहिए एक्टिविटीज लिस्ट में कि इस साल में हम इतनी चीजें करेंगे जो इस पर्टिकुलर कम्युनिटी को डेडिकेटेड होगी। तो ऐसा जब हम कुछ करेंगे तो आने वाले 5-10 सालों में हमारे आसपास वो सारे रिसोर्सेज होंगे जिसमें किसी को तब हेल्प करने की जरूरत नहीं होगी। किसी को कोई मर्सी करने तो दूर रहा, मतलब आपको समझाना भी नहीं पड़ेगा, और वो रिसोर्सेज को लेके वो हर कोई अपना काम कर सकता है, क्योंकि उनको सिर्फ रिसोर्स चाहिए, गाइडेंस नहीं चाहिए, आपका ज्ञान नहीं चाहिए, आपका कोई उनको कोई सपोर्ट नहीं चाहिए। आप उनको रिसोर्सेज दे दो, वो पिक एंड चूज कर लेंगे उनको क्या चाहिए। तो ये एक चीज अगर होती है तो बहुत अच्छा होगा।
Very well said, sir.
Give the same amount,
Very well said, Satoshi. I think
same tools, same opportunities that everybody gets, regardless of whether they are, differently abled or whether, and everybody, I think, Hanuman, when you started, you said that, everybody is different and there is something or the other that each of us is lacking. Some is more obvious, some is probably more hidden. So, and some people have to work harder to overcome those and be able to, they probably have to make more effort. It's a little more difficult for them, but it's our duty as a society to ensure that everybody gets those same opportunities. And somewhere I feel, especially from what you said, Santosh, it's time to stop doing acts, but start acting. So act less of acts and more of action is what I would, really take away. And Avellino had, he sounded very frustrated when he talked about the act. It's been so many years since the act has been passed, but we are still fighting for basic things like accessibility, like ramps. So, Avellino, what, according to you, because you've been doing this for so long, what is the real root problem for this? What is because it has to be a change in the system. It's not, by talking, like Santosh said, that it's going to change.
Society will have, for the last 3 years, we are depending on the government and we are expecting the government to do everything. So I think so the attitude or the focus has to shift to the members of the government or do the work themselves. Because, recently also we started something in Goa where like make your neighborhood accessible. The corporate acceptable. Public places have to be made. How much will the government do? 25 years. The government has I think it has to now shift to of the society. and society at the same time the extra force places become accessible for a person with disability. As you know now, the new disability is focusing on equal opportunity and non-disability. I'm sure to ensure opportunity and accommodations given to each and every be able to
Amazing input, Mr.
Very
Disa.
well said. I think it's
Amazing input, Mr. Disa. And I think you have also tried in a manner connecting with what one of the students was asking about how can they contribute. And I think what you just spoke about is that people becoming more aware and let's say picking up an area and making that area accessible or checking for accessibility and making the local community is more aware of accessibility. That itself will be a great addition to the focus that is required. Students are a very powerful force.
If I can, just want to add to that. And Dr. Garg, Professor Garg, you had talked about this earlier, and you taken a note. I'm just adding to that. I'm just saying, when I was a child in the school, we had something called a moral science teaching. Our institutions today creating means I have learned, having worked with people with disabilities now, I have got quite sensitive to something which Sandeep said, to be support on the right side or the left side, or ask what they would need and identify their needs. It can be a curriculum or just at least some kind of a subsidiary paper or something that everyone has to clear, in which sensitized on how to deal with people with different kind of disabilities. Santoshji talked about ramp, Sandeep talked about ramp. I've seen a single ramp where buildings had the ramp, but the ramp is made at a 60-degree angle and it is raining. So can you imagine, the ramp is there, but a person with disability or a person on a wheelchair, is he even able to wheel over that ramp? So it's more of a checkbox that we are doing, or are we really sensitive to what we have done? Last year, I think, and I was wanting to check this. Last year, I think the SHRM session that happened, we had people with disabilities perform there. One of the performers is a gentleman who takes, he's got the Guinness record for taking the maximum spins on his wheelchair, the number of rounds that he can take on his wheelchair. And he'd broken the world record, and he could take over about 62 spins per minute on the wheelchair. And there was a song that was performed by a person on wheelchair and a lady who was deaf mute. What I'm trying to make here is, this lady was deaf mute, but she could respond to the music and the beats and stuff like that just by looking at the body language of the other person. These people are far more receptive. It is just that we need to be sensitive. We need to sensitize ourselves clearly onto how to look at some of these things and how to respond to them. What is our level of sensitivity and understanding of the needs that this group has? We are now dealing with large corporates like Royal Bank of Scotland or Ernst & Young and Capgemini and the others, and we've created a program which is called Believe. It is also for the people working with them to be sensitive. To the question that student asked on what we can do, are we being sensitive to the people around us? Are we supporting them with the bichara feeling, or are we supporting them as one of us and stuff like that? Those are the things. Are we educating our own people? Today, we talk about ramps. Why don't we talk about braille,
Obviously, because we are not just talking about ramps are meant for only one kind of a disability. We just can't be, providing more and more ramps thinking that we are taking care of the disabled.
That's only locomotor challenge which you will address, and part of locomotor challenge.
Also,
talking about braille.
Just to you talked about moral science. I mean, while I understand the spirit in which you're saying it, we all studied moral science. I don't think it made us better human beings. It just made us more, supercilious and little holier than thou. But I think what is truly required is programs that help us walk in other people's shoes. And I don't mean it just from a disability or a differently abled angle. Everybody's shoes, whether it is a man walking in a woman's shoes, a person with two legs walking, sitting in a wheelchair and spending all day doing that, a person with who's got full vision trying to spend a day as a blind person. Those are things that will actually create us to be truly empathetic, and I truly believe that. I don't think my kids going through a moral science paper is going to make them better social responsible human beings in that will help the country. So I think those are things
I was drawing a parallel. That was just an example.
I know. But I think these are things that we need, and that's how. And I see, kids today, like the Gen Z or the Gen minus Z, whatever the new generation or whatever you want to call them now. They're actually far more, conscious of the environment, of the people around them, of each other's rights, and empathetic to differences than we were.
I just want to add on something over here, Mr. Talwar. You brought in you were just mentioning about moral science classes that we used to have when we were studying in schools. I think my students who are listening to you will confirm that I've always been, giving this example in my classes that while we were studying in schools, we used to have this moral science paper. Of course, as Archana said, it's not that we used to become better persons, but at least we used to develop some kind of a sensitivity, at least in the back of our minds, that we need to be ethical in what we do. And nowadays we do talk about ethical ways of doing the things, and it is an important aspect of our syllabi as well. So there's no harm if we talk about moral science per se, but then it is important that we walk the talk as well. I mean,
social science in these days, I would call it social science and awareness.
Science and making sense.
No, I didn't mean it in a negative way. I was just saying that that's the level where we need to be at. Simply, just looking at things as check boxes is not going to help. Every time, it has to be a part of our conscious thought process as students, as professionals, as members of society, and as leaders who can actually look at how inclusive we haven't heard from Jayant in a long while.
Even I would like to say
this whole journey. Sorry, Jayant, what would you like to add to this?
Ma'am, I will be speaking from the viewpoint of a student. So basically, in Delhi University, we try to conduct more type of awareness programs, and we also do basically this is a 2-day or 3-day basically event in which we have the competition where the persons with disability and a common student compete, and there is a competition over there, so where you can come at the same level and you can experience how the persons with disability perform better than the common student. So there the students are getting more and more empathetic and sensitized towards the students coming from the person with disability. So this also are happening in the university, and I can tell you more that the persons with disability has few barriers. Like I would like to highlight 3 points over here, like the attitudinal barrier which we need to break first of all. Then we have the infrastructural barrier and the resource barrier. These are the 3 main barriers which I think that first we need to work on these 3. If we will achieve these 3 barriers, we will be able to break it. So we will be able to in an inclusive environment.
Very well said, Jayant. I think you summed up a lot of what all of us are talking about in 3 very, very relevant and crisp words. So thank you so much for that. So we have a few more minutes left. One segment that I wanted to cover very quickly, which is more topical also, which is, which Santosh was talking about, in the sense that, last 50, 60 days, we've all been working from home. We've been doing jobs remotely that most organizations said would never be possible from home. We made it possible because that was the necessity and the need of the hour, because businesses had to continue. The job had to be done, the governments had to be run, etc., etc., had to be taught. This is one of the things that, for a lot of people, given accessibility issues, the challenges of mobility, travel, if such resources of work from home opportunities were made available more freely and openly to differently abled people, will we be able to offer more opportunities and get more people into the ambit of the workplace? Do you think that, this is something that would really help in creating a better opportunity for people who are differently able?
And would you like to answer that?
Jayant,
You're
I
on
think
mute, sorry.
on mute.
I'm audible.
Yes, yes, you are.
I was saying that being as a young youth of the country, so means compelling the persons with disability to work from home will be helpful for the some category from the person with disability who are basically the orthopedically disabled or handicapped, we can say. So the person with the different disabilities will not be agreeing to the statement, because but this pandemic time has being a person going suffering with blindness, so this will be not impactful for him, or it will be helpful for him. But this pandemic time has helped a lot the person with disability, especially the blind students or the blind person, because they are able to access the technology. With the help of technology, they have achieved like great things in this pandemic time, because technology is a great boost for the blinds. And this, even if I talk about myself, so this has pandemic time has helped me a lot in improving myself and doing various other things except my education.
No, absolutely, Jayant. And I don't mean blanket that all people with disability should be allowed to work from home, but if work from home becomes a more integral part of organizations' work culture, will it help and enable many people today who are, who are not physically mobile to be actually to get better opportunities as well. Hanumant, you seem to be nodding. Anything you want to add there?
Yeah, sure, Archana. I think to the judgment that I have, I think it opens a whole lot of possibilities there, because clearly now the smoke screen in between that we had, that people working from home is not a reality. Everyone globally has accepted it, and thankfully it has happened across the globe. It is not a phenomenon that has happened to one particular country or two countries. So having said that, people really can't commute. People who have challenges in commuting with locomotor challenge or visually impaired, uh, they can actually, and they have quite a lot of skills. We have ourselves started using some copywriters and others who are people with disabilities, and we're partnering with organizations who are actually helping us do the entire back end of copywriting. And these people have such amazing skills that sitting at home, and the turnaround times are amazingly good. Organizations which are doing outsourcing. I've spent 20 years in the world of outsourcing or shared services, so I'm trying to talk about that. Means transactional work that could not move out of the office then can now, because the data security and others have all been tested. It is all working well. Why can't we do this? And these should open a lot more And organizations that talk about being equal opportunity employers, I think should positively start looking at some of these areas and leverage people with disabilities. We're going to be a very strong proponent of that, and talk to a lot of organizations. The challenge here is, unfortunately, the visibility of that talent. When organizations are willing to even employ people with disabilities, the challenge is, and that is what we are trying to do our limited effort on, creating the Believe and Aspire programs, by just trying to say, how can these individuals showcase themselves? How can they be more visible today in the world of social media? How can they say, or can they get onto LinkedIn and say, I am a person with disability, but I can do a great amount of copywriting. Contact me for getting more details. Are available to the HR recruiters who are hiring in the market, and I think that is the two-way drive that Sandeep talked about. Organizations will get more and more able. It actually will help their inclusivity agenda as well, the D&I agenda that they have. The willingness is there, but where is the talent, and how can that talent showcase and make itself more visible? I think that will be a very important thing to look at this point.
Archana, there's a question in the chat box.
Okay, I don't seem to be able to see it. Sorry.
I'll just read that out. If any of our panelists would like to answer that. The question says, what is the status among NGOs as they are sensitized to social issues, yet we don't see much of the disabled employees in the NGO sector? I can repeat it. So what is the status among NGOs as they are sensitized to social issues?
Yeah, I think the question is, if I may just paraphrase it a little bit, that while you have a lot of NGOs that particularly talk about equal opportunity hiring, etc., but as per the person who's asked the question, we don't see much of the disabled employees in the NGO sector. This question comes from Shruti Sharma. I don't have hard facts with me, so I would not be able to qualify that question in terms of whether.
Santoshji has raised his hand. So
Okay.
Santosh, unmute yourself, please. Unmute yourself.
अर्चना, ये क्वेश्चन में जो फैक्ट्स फिगर्स तो नहीं है एग्जैक्ट, बट as per my previous experience and currently we are working with the NGOs, so number of Divyangjan working with the in NGO sector, so as such we cannot say कि less number है. अभी NGO sector में काफी लोग हैं जो काम कर रहे हैं. मतलब अगर मैं आप पूरे, क्योंकि एनजीओ इंडिया में एटलीस्ट, मतलब वैसे तो 33 लाख एनजीओज रजिस्टर्ड एनजीओज हैं, बट उनमें से अगर वर्किंग एनजीओज का अगर आप स्ट्रेंथ देखोगे तो अराउंड 3 लाख के आसपास एनजीओज हैं. 10% एनजीओज हैं जो एक्चुअल में ग्राउंड पे काम कर रहे हैं और जिनके पास पॉसिबिलिटीज हैं कि उनके साथ लोग एसोसिएटेड हैं. तो ह्यूमन रिसोर्स पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से अगर मैं कहूं तो एनजीओ में काफी हैं जो दिव्यांगजन काम कर रहे हैं और अच्छा, मतलब वहां पर प्लेसमेंट अच्छा है. मतलब ऐसा मेरे नॉलेज में नहीं है कि एनजीओ सेक्टर में प्लेसमेंट नहीं है ऐसा. तो ये एक चीज है. दूसरा, मैं एक बात और कहना चाहूंगा जो अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस क्वेश्चन, लाइक अभी एक दो चीज पॉइंट हैं जो मेरे माइंड में है, मैं चाहता हूँ रेज करूं. लाइक हम हमारे एजुकेशन सिस्टम में हम लोग कोर्स में लैंग्वेज जो है वो लाइक जो चूज करते हैं 5th के बाद, जब हम 6th 7th में आते हैं तो बच्चों का एक्स्ट्रा उसमें लैंग्वेज भी एक सब्जेक्ट एज अ सब्जेक्ट ऐड होता है. और आप देखते हैं उसमें जो ऑप्शन मिलता है वो फॉरेन लैंग्वेज एंड इंडियन लैंग्वेज. हेलो,
Fine, it's fine.
I can hear you. There's a little bit of noise. I think somebody's mic needs to be muted.
तो जो लैंग्वेज ऑप्शंस हैं उसमें आप देखो, कभी मतलब हम फ्रेंच है, जर्मन है, सारे ऑप्शंस हैं फॉरेन लैंग्वेज का. जिसकी 90% स्टूडेंट्स को कभी जरूरत नहीं पड़ती। मतलब वो फ्रेंच ले लिया उसने, जर्मन ले लिया, बट वो एज अ लैंग्वेज नोन होना चाहिए, बट जरूरत नहीं है। लेकिन जो जरूरत है, जो हमारे आसपास है, लाइक साइन लैंग्वेज है, ब्रेल है, इसको क्या हम एज अ ऑप्शन लैंग्वेज एकेडमिक सिलेबस में इंक्लूड कर सकते हैं? एक ये पॉइंट मैं फ्लैग करना चाहता था कि ऐसा हमें एज अ एकेडमिक इंस्टीट्यूशन सोचना चाहिए कि बच्चों को, जो हमारे आसपास ये डिसेबल कम्युनिटी है, उनको समझने के लिए अगर ऑप्शनल लैंग्वेज में अगर हम ये लैंग्वेजेस इंट्रोड्यूस करेंगे अपार्ट फ्रॉम फॉरेन लैंग्वेज, तो ज्यादा यूजफुल होगा। क्योंकि स्टूडेंट अगर जर्मन या स्पेनिश या फ्रेंच की जगह अगर साइन लैंग्वेज सीखेगा, तो वो अपने दोस्तों को से बात कर पाएगा, अपनी कम्युनिटी के आसपास लोगों को समझ पाएगा। तो ये, हाँ, एक ये पॉइंट है जिसको हमें अपने एकेडमिक कैलेंडर के अंदर ऐड करना चाहिए। दूसरा, जैसे जो प्रीवियस डिस्कशंस हो रहे थे कि आज भी हम रैंप पे क्यों अटके हैं, और जैसे कि हनुमंत ने कहा कि रैंप को बहुत जगह बन रहे हैं एज अ फॉर्मेलिटी, एज पर द रूल बन रहे हैं, बट लोगों को उसके साथ कनेक्टिविटी नहीं है, अटैचमेंट नहीं है, इसलिए मालूम नहीं है। मैं यहाँ पर बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट हैं, एक ओपन क्वेश्चन करूंगा जो आप, जिसका आंसर आप मत दीजिए, बट खुद सोचिएगा कि यहाँ पर जितने लोग सुन रहे हैं उनमें से कितने लोगों को मालूम है कि एज पर द बिल्डिंग बायलॉज रैंप का साइज क्या होना चाहिए। आई होप, मतलब मेरा जो प्रीवियस एक्सपीरियंस है उसमें 90% लोगों को इस तरह की जो टेक्निकल नॉलेज है पर्टिकुलर इस सेक्शन से रिलेटेड वो नहीं मालूम होती है। तो उस कारण से क्या होता है कि जब हमें मालूम ही नहीं है और ना कभी हम डिस्कशन करते हैं, ना कभी हमारे आसपास ये चीजें आती हैं डिस्कस करने के लिए, ना टीवी पर इसका कोई एडवर्टीजमेंट आता है, ना कहीं हमारे कोर्स में ये है, ना हमारे व्हाट्सएप सोशल मीडिया पर इसका कोई डिस्कशन होता है, तो जो जनरल नॉलेज है वो कैसे बढ़ेगा? इस तरह के इंटेलेक्चुअल प्लेटफॉर्म पे तो सिर्फ कुछ लोग आते हैं, और वो एक दिन दो दिन के डिस्कशंस में जितना सेंसिटाइज हो सकते हैं, ओरिएंट हो सकते हैं, वो होते हैं। बट जरूरत है इसको मास स्केल पर डिस्कस करने की। ये सारी जो रिक्वायरमेंट है इनको पॉपुलर करने की जरूरत है। अगर ये पॉपुलर हो जाएगी तो हर एक को लैंग्वेज भी मालूम होगी, हर एक को रूल्स भी मालूम होंगे, हर एक को क्या चीज उनकी जरूरत है वो भी मालूम होगा। तो इस तरह के दो तीन भी काम अगर हम सब आने वाले सालों में कुछ कर पाए, तो मुझे लगता है कि जो ये वेबिनार है 2 डेज का, इसका एक सक्सेस तो हम कह सकते हैं। और शालिनी जी, इस मूवमेंट को आप एक हार्ड कोर एक्टिविटीज में कन्वर्ट कर सकते हो। So
thank you. I've taken your, I'm noting down your suggestions really. I mean, with me.
It's actually a brilliant
Take action. I'm definitely going to take action on them, Santosh. Definitely.
Very brilliant suggestion. I think we would all benefit from having these kind of languages, and it would make us all more empathetic, more inclusive, truly intrinsically. Because when we know these languages, we also always know that there are people around us who may not have the same kind of you can say abilities which have been given to us. It is something we've created, been given to us by birth, which maybe not everybody was given.
मैंने ये पॉइंट इसलिए रेज किया, मैं जब क्लास 7th में था उस टाइम पे मेरा एक फ्रेंड था, और वो उसको प्रॉब्लम था सुनने का, बोलने का, लेकिन उससे मैं कभी बात नहीं कर पाया। मेरी बहुत अच्छी दोस्ती थी, लेकिन मुझे साइन लैंग्वेज नहीं आती थी, इसलिए मैं कभी उसको समझा नहीं पाया अपनी बातें। वो अपनी बातें मुझे समझा लेता था, मैं समझ लेता था, बट मैं कभी अपनी बात उसे समझा नहीं पाया। तो मुझे रियलाइज होता था कि क्यों नहीं ये मेरा कोर्स का पार्ट है। इतनी बड़ी पॉपुलेशन इस कंट्री में है और हम सब कोई नहीं जानते हैं, और ना हम उनसे कम्युनिकेट कर पाते हैं ड्यू टू दिस लैंग्वेज प्रॉब्लम। तो ये अगर इतना ही हम कर लें और सब कोई ये सीख जाए, तो सेंसिटिव भी हो जाएंगे और उनके साथ दोस्ती भी हो जाएगी।
Very well said.
The way Bill Gates said that coding has to be learned by our kids, at the start, should start learn coding, which is very important. I think Mr. Santosh's point regarding learning sign language, especially, if we wish to call ourselves accessible in our mindsets, in our approach, this is a really good suggestion. I'm just, I just want to bring it forth before everybody, before my students, that he's really raised up a very good point, and we should, and rather we will take it up in our faculty meeting and with our dean, and we will just we'll talk about it, and I'll get back to you on this. Sure.
Thank you.
I think this underlines the fact that definitely mindset change is hugely required, and we really need to, in some ways, undo and rebuild a lot of our systems, whether it is physical and infrastructural, or whether it is the way that we think, the way that we, as a society operate and can become truly inclusive. So I would really like to thank all of you. And I would like to end actually with Jayant's words. I had a closing, but I think what he said was to, sum it up very well. We need to collectively change our attitudes. We need to collectively change our infrastructure, improve our infrastructure, and we collectively need to create equal opportunity through providing the same kind of resources to each and every human being that is a citizen of our country, no matter what kind of physical abilities they have, no matter what. And I would, I would like to add to that what race, caste, creed, religion, uh, part of the country that they belong to. So each person in our country has to be equal, and we all have to work together to building that mindset.
Sure.
Although you have officially, closed the discussion, we do have some time. And since my students really wanted to ask a few more questions, I just want to bring up this question, something written by Mr. Hanuman Talwar over here, where he says that he can talk about DRISA and overall theme that we used. Will you just elaborate on that?
I just did talk about that, ma'am. That's a group of people who are performers, all physically disabled. The person I talked about, the person on the wheelchair, and the lady who's deaf mute and they danced. That's a group, and we are actually supporting them by helping. SHRM had launched one of their shows in the last year's annual conference. So there are groups, associations available like that who are very, very keenly supporting people with, and it's not just lip service or check in the box. And we run programs to actually take them up from their existing career as they build up their career and operationalize inclusivity rather than just lip service inclusivity or do a number calculation in that.
Right. And one or two parting words from Santoshji, your side, and Sandeep Vidani for our students who are listening to you before we finally close it off with a valedictory. So maybe, just throw some light and some words of inspiration that you can give to our students today. Santoshji, shall we start with you, Mr. Santosh, whoever.
Santosh is.
Yeah. If you want to.
Are you sharing something, sir?
Please, you carry on.
Why don't you?
After you, I'll.
Okay. So in summary, I think 2-3 messages that we got very clearly, that it's not about making acts, it's about action. Accessibility, and we've used examples of the ramp, but I think there is much more to accessibility. As Lisa has been sharing, there is much more to accessibility. And Archana, you've been speaking about providing resources, and resources has been a big discussion. I think the closing message really is from all of this that for students, taking ownership of what you see, making yourself more aware of the environment and skilling yourself to build inclusion. Any new technology, any new product that you build, tomorrow you guys will go create product services. You go into marketing, HR, finance, whatever roles. But any solution, any policy that you bring out, look at it from the perspective of inclusion. The message is that there is a very clear distinction between equality and what we require here is an equilibrium and not just equality. Equilibrium. If you're able to bring that cultures that you go into, people more aware and start operating more inclusively yourself, will start changing things. You see a ramp that is being blocked off, you see a ramp, you might walk past. but ramp has been blocked off by somebody, go and start talking about it. If you find a building that is not accessible, talk about it. If you find your workplace that is not accessible tomorrow, talk about it. So that ownership itself will start changing a lot of things. And some great examples that have come in terms of the languages to be learned. As we speak, I've been learning sign language specifically because of people that I am working with. And there is tons of content available on YouTube. You don't need to go anywhere and start equipping yourself.
Thank you so much,
Santoshji? Yeah, please.
Only I can say, like, let us all work together to create a world where person with disability can scale new height of success without any obstacle. Just only add my one thing, and once again congratulate to organizer and especially Shalini Garg ji की आपने इतना अच्छा ये इस टाइम पे ऑर्गेनाइज किया है जो लोगों को नीड है, और मुझे 100% यकीन है कि आप जैसे एकेडमिशियंस अगर आगे आते हैं तो सिर्फ ये डिस्कशन नहीं होता बल्कि ये एक्शन में भी कन्वर्ट होता है. सो राइट नाउ लाइक दिस इज द टाइम फॉर द एक्शन. सो होपफुली ये 2 दिन की वेबिनार कुछ आने वाले टाइम में एक माइलस्टोन बनेगी और एक नया रोड मैप डिजाइन करेगी. इस होप के साथ आप सबको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. थैंक यू.
I'll use sign to say that thank you.
Thank you, Santoshji.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Talwarji. Yeah, thank you, Avelino. Thank you, Jayant. And I really thank you all. And I'm privileged to have a diverse mix of such, experts coming from different walks of life with such huge experience, sharing their views with our students and entertaining their queries and giving us such valuable suggestions, which I will definitely bring into action. Thank you so much. And if you have 5 minutes of time, my students would like to just thank you all formally. People, so can we have our anchors? Can we have our anchors, please?
Yes, ma'am. So with this, we end our panel session. So we would like to thank you, Archana ma'am, for such an interactive panel discussion. Perspective and thinking about all of the problems that people with disability face and other things, and all of your valuable suggestions. We would really like to thank you, sir and ma'am. And now we have Bhavya. She would be delivering valedictory speech. Bhavya, over to you.
Thank you, Piyushi. I consider it a privilege to deliver the valedictory address at this webinar. I'm sure the webinar has made a major impact on all of us. We began with the introduction of the theme by our much admired Professor Shalini Garg, followed by the addressal of our respected faculty members, Dean Professor Neena Sinha, Vice Chancellor Professor Dr. Mahesh Verma, and our honored chief guest, Ms. Achal Khanna, and respected guest of honor, Mr. Vinay Sahasrabuddhe. The unveiling ceremony of our moderator and co-chairperson, Professor Shalini Garg's book, was a moment of pride and heartfelt gratitude for all her students and a wave of best wishes and love. In these 2 days of understanding the opinions and views of our honored guest speakers, we could see new doors opening that have enabled us to see the disabled, which I'd rather now replace with abled in a different way, in a more competent, respectful, and brave capacity. What if their disability becomes a part of their identity? They remain to be true fighters, and we must learn from them the power of dedication. Giving them space, understanding their world, and enabling opportunities for them is not to be seen as a part of being a good human being, but should be seen as a basic necessity that the world needs to incorporate now. The question answers with our speakers help the audience to clarify various aspects and limitations they saw coming. The webinar's last section, comprising of the panel discussion, where our moderator, Ms. Archana Jirat, encouraged a lively discussion with the panelists of different backgrounds and definitely made us look beyond the traditional aspects and analyze the theme and its importance in a more elaborated manner, where the significance of sign language came across as a really important suggestion, along with incorporating necessary skills for inclusion. And as rightly said, any major change begins with one's own self. It is true that with understanding and knowledge in the world with respect to the differently abled, we will be able to live in a better world with a wider scope of livelihood which each one of us deserves. I hope that all of us was able to expand our perceptions and gain awareness through this event. And I am sure that we will carry with us the importance of inclusiveness throughout our lives. Beauty begins the moment we look beyond imperfections because none of us is perfect. Train your mind to see the good in every situation and spread the message of empowerment through unity wherever you go.
Thank you, Bhavya. Now, in my opinion, it's fair to conclude that this event was a great success. So many people have contributed in many ways to turn this event into a smooth running meeting, even on an online platform. I have much gratitude to our Professor Shalini ma'am, moderator and co-chairperson of this event, for organizing such an event and giving us the opportunity to be a part of it. We would also like to thank our Dean ma'am, Vice Chancellor sir, Registrar sir, Professor A.K. Saini sir, and other faculty members for being an important part of this event. Dignitaries from different organizations had joined us, sparing their valuable time for us and imparting important knowledge to us. It has been our privilege to interact with such esteemed, commendable, and inspired identities, and we are definitely taking back a bag full of learning with us. We want to thank all our speakers for devoting their valuable time to this cause and sharing with us their enlightening and humble opinions. A big thank you to Ms. Archana ma'am also for organizing this panel discussion. A big thank you to our panelists for being part of this webinar and actively participating in the panel discussion and making it so interesting. And we want to extend our gratitude to Radio Dwarka, ETV, and Cisco WebEx. Now, I would like to thank our audience for being so supportive and patient, and at the same time being enthusiastic through the whole webinar. Attendees.
A special mention to the organizing committee, the technical team, marketing team, backup team, reporting team, photography team, the backend team, and other coordinators. And yes, my lovely and supportive co-host, Piyushi Agarwal. It is because of their hard work, diligence, dedication, and continuous effort that we were able to arrange this webinar without much difficulties. I once again thank Professor Shalini Garg, moderator and co-chairperson, on behalf of the organizing team for giving us this wonderful opportunity. With the management of this webinar, we were able to polish our skills in the areas of marketing, organizing, and handling technicalities, addressing audiences, and most of all, incorporating efficiency and teamwork. Thank you, ma'am, for being our constant support system and guiding light. It has been a pleasure hosting this webinar.
You're welcome. So thank you all. Thank you, Archana, for conducting this wonderful interactive panel discussion. Thank you, Hanuman Talwarji, Sandeep Bidani ji, Jayant, Avelino, Santosh Gupta ji, and thank you for being here and thank you for sharing your valuable, viewpoints and bringing forth this discussion to such a good conclusion that we'll be able to, take a good, what should I say, good takeaways from our discussion about accessibility and inclusion. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much for having us, ma'am, and
Thank you.
congratulations on your book launch.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Dr. Shalini, on the book
Thank
launch.
So much. Many
Congratulations
congratulations.
to all of you for putting up such a splendid event.
Thank you. Thank you, Archana. Thank you.
Thank you, Santosh. Jaya.
Santoshji, thank you so much. Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Hanumanji. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks
sir.
to all. Thanks you. We'll meet soon.
Yeah,
Have a nice day. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.